So, new version of the service server. First question is why? Well, the basic problem is that we have the old service server that runs for 10 years. It still runs on the original hardware, so over 10-year-old hardware. It's a network accessible storage device from the Synology company, which is installed in a data center somewhere in Prague. That means whenever you are downloading a firmware file or service manual or anything like this, you are downloading it from Prague. And I guess our colleagues that are outside of Europe can confirm that it is very slow trying to download a firmware in, I don't know, Indonesia or America or whatever. This hardware already failed once. We applied a fix that we found online. It was a hardware fix. We need to solder on the main PCB of the server. And what we found online was that this fix is good for a few months. And this was done over a year ago. So the hardware can fail at any day. I already mentioned everything is downloaded from Prague, means very slow download anywhere outside Europe. And there is no option of automatic account synchronization. That means whenever we issue new service certificate, someone, most often me, has to go to the service server and manually enter or enhance or change the access rights for the affected technician, or even if the technician doesn't yet have account on the service server, create an account. So there are quite a few good points why we would like to have something more modern and working maybe more spread out through the world and working more automatically. Well, now the data will be stored in cloud. That means we will upload it to European server. But once someone downloads, for example, the new firmware file from somewhere else in the world, from Asia, Australia, the file will be also copied to the local data center. So any subsequent downloads should be much faster. Any subsequent downloads, for example, from other branches in the region. So data will not be stored on a single computer or single device here in Prague, but will be spread out through the world. All access rights will be based on service certificates, and this will be automatically synchronized daily at around 23 hours European time. It's plus minus maybe half an hour. So every late European evening, the data, the current service certificates will be synchronized and the accounts on the service server will be adjusted accordingly. Address will remain service.btlnet.com, although if your browser still has those, that port specification, so colon 5001 remembered, remove it. This will no longer be used. We'll try to set up the record in such a way that if you edit there, it will not cause problem, but I can't promise that. So if you have this address with the colon 5001 stored, remove that port specification on Monday. For login into the service server, BTL users will use their BTLnet accounts. So you may see here button login as BTL employee. You will simply click on that button and will be in when you are logged into your BTL.netcom account. For external users, so not BTL, service technicians from external companies, you will receive a notification email of a creation of an account with the username and password. As for the data structure, I think the best way to show it will be to log in into the service server. So for my testing account, I will be logging in using username and password, but normally I would log in as a BTL employee. But to show you how you will see the new service server, not the administrative way, then let's try it here. Test user, some password, login, and tada, I'm there. So what you can see, by the way, those of you who are familiar with BTL Support International, which stores, well, basically clinical and sales files for different devices, or Extranet, which stores the same kinds of files for physiology, robotics, or cardiology, this is the same environment, same as Extranet or BTL Support Int. So in this case, I have my testing user who has certificates for mSculpt, mBody, CardioPoint, Radial Shockwave, and rTouch rLead. We can look at the files. So I don't know, let's start with the mSculpt, for example. Structure is slightly different compared to the old server. In the old server, you would expect like documents, firmware, I don't know, those numbered folders. There are no numbers here, but we have common documents, device-specific documents, software, firmware, tools. Those are basic folders. So what would you expect in common documents? Let's try. And if you look at that, it's basically mostly service bulletins that are common to all devices or to some bigger family of devices. So in this case, time limitation service bulletin, of course, that's common to almost all BTL devices. So it can be in common documents. Service access card system service bulletin, again, common to all devices based on the Linux software, so it's in common documents, and so on. If we look at device-specific documents now, that's where I would expect something like final inspection report, for example, for mSculpt, or for the chair applicator, because that can be used with the mSculpt. So you have a final inspection report for the chair applicator here as well. Or very specific bulletins just for mSculpt. For example, how to update from firmware version 780 or lower service bulletin. This is not valid for any other device, so it's here. Then maybe high voltage power supply repair service bulletin. This is valid for mSculpt, mBody, and mSculpt Neo. So it's kind of an edge between the common document and device specific document. But we decided to have these kind of bulletins like high voltage power supply repair or shockwave applicator repair to have them in device specific documents. And of course, there is the service manual here. When you hover over the icon, you see the like preview of the first page. You can even click on it and it will open the document straight away on the service server like this. Or you can download it. By the way, when you hover your mouse over the download button, it will show you the original file name. So if you are not sure if you need this service bulletin and maybe manual says you need some 799-82 something service bulletin, try hovering over the download button and it will show you the actual file name of the file. What is in the software in this case? Well, for the mSculpt, there is not much software because we have firmware in the firmware folder. That's pretty simple. So we have firmware version software 1.15 here, or ISO package for updating from software 780 or older to newer software. And we have also the simulator for Windows here, so that's in the firmware folder. What would be in the software folder? Well, in case of mSculpt, it can be something like ISO to USB or BTL card manager installer, and that's exactly what is here. These two software tools that you may need when you are dealing with the mSculpt. Finally, tools. As is in the manual, we have specific tools and other tools. So specific tools for the mSculpt, what can be there? Okay, electrical safety test leads. Instructions for use, okay. Pretty simple. Maybe not all instructions for use for all like dummy loads or testing tools for all devices are already added, but we will add them definitely to the new server. So they will be, I suppose they should be both in general instructions and common service tasks and in folders for individual devices. And what about other tools? Well, there are MTS sequences for the Fluke electrical safety meter. So this is an example for the mSculpt. The structure for CardioPoint is the same. So let's look at the CardioPoint, but here we don't have any common documents. We have only device specific documents. We don't have any software, any firmware. We have only software. So let's check software. CardioPoint itself is a software. And we have installer here. We have previous versions available. So some older ISOs for CardioPoint. We might have drivers. And here are release notes for the software version. So if you are looking at CardioPoint version 2.42, we have release notes here. And that's that. That's basically what you can do on the new service server. That's all there is. If you are looking for the general instructions and common service task document, you will go here, general instructions and common service tasks. And well, general instructions and common service tasks is a common document, so it will be here somewhere. Here you see version 107 that will be released on Monday. The update is that it contains information about the new service server. How will the transition work? Next Monday, March 30th, between 10:30 and 14:30 Prague time, so it will be already daylight savings time on Monday because we are transferring to daylight savings time during the weekend. So this is Greenwich time plus 2 hours. Both servers will be unavailable, and once the transition is done on Monday, you will receive a notification that your account has been created based on your service certificates. So if you don't receive any notification, maybe you don't have any valid service certificates. The old service server will be kept running for roughly a month. We will move it to a different address. Most likely it will be something like old service btlnet.com with that port specification 5001. So if you have any data that you would like to retrieve from the old service server, you will have some time to do that, but expect that after that month, it will be permanently shut down. Expect to receive 2 service info emails. One will be today with this plan of transition and with the recording of the presentation for those who couldn't attend any of those 2 sessions today. The other one will be on Monday that the new service server was published and that there is a new version of general instructions and common service tasks with description of the new service server and not the old one, because description of the service server is included in the document. Well, and that's that. So that's all that I wanted to say and show you.